Hello YouTube, and welcome to yet another Java beginner tutorial. Today we're going to be doing something pretty cool. We're actually going to be taking what we've learned to use and making a simple login program. Now, when I say login program, I pretty much mean you set a username and password and it saves it, and you can use that username and password to log in later on, and it will check if that username and password is correct. So let's get started on that. The first thing you need to do is you need to import Scanner, because we will be using that. And if you remember, it is import java.util.scanner. Okay, and once we have that imported, we can start making our scanner object. And if you remember, that is scanner with an uppercase S, and then we named the variable scan, and then new scanner system.in, which stands for input stream, and we can start making our variables. Now we're going to have a good amount of variables, but they'll be self-explanatory later on, and I'll explain a little bit as I go. So first we're going to make a boolean named correct login, and we'll set that to false by default. That will check if the person's login information was correct. Next we'll make a string called username, then we'll make another string called password, then we'll make another string called entered username, and that's the username that the person's going to enter, write whether it's incorrect or correct, and string entered password, and that's the same way for username, just for the password. Alright, now we have all our variables in, we can start writing some code. So let's write system out print line, oops, if I can spell today, and let's write please enter a username to be polite, and we can write username equals scan.next line, and that pretty much means we are going to take in the username from what the person enters in the console and save it to the variable username. And then we can make system out print line, oh my gosh, okay, and we can write please enter a password, okay, and we can do password equals scan.next line, and that same thing goes for the password as this line of code goes for the username. And now we can start making a while loop, which will contain our login loop, as I like to call it. So let's make a while loop, and we can do while correct login does not equal true. So while the correct login is false, or the person did not enter the information correctly, we can do system out print line, and I'm going to copy this because I'm going to use it right below, and we can write login below, and for this one we can do enter your username. Having a hard time spelling today. Okay, and now we can take in the entered username by typing entered username equals scan.next line, and that will take in what the person enters for username, correct or incorrect, and then we can write system, oh, I actually copied it, so I don't need to do that. We can write next enter your password, and let's do entered password equals scan.next line. So that will scan the entered password also, and then we can do the comparison. So this is where we check if the password and username are correct. So let's do this. If entered username, oops, dot equals and then username. Yep. And you can do that by doing entered password dot equals password. So let me explain this for a second. The reason we do not use the equals comparison here is because when we do that, we aren't comparing what is inside the string. We're just comparing the string objects themselves. So, for example, if I compared entered username to username with equals, which is this, then the compiler really would complain because it's just comparing the two strings. So it would compare entered username and username, but it wouldn't compare the data inside the strings, such as your username. So that's why we cannot use equals. We have to use dot equals, which compares the string to another string, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, that's okay. You'll understand it very soon. But let's write after that system out print line. You have entered the correct login info, and finish that statement, and then we can write correct login equals true. And the reason we're doing this is because we have to make sure that correct login is true, as in the person finished logging in correctly. And then we're going to use a statement that will be new to you, and that is called break. And that pretty much means exit this while loop. So when you break, you will exit this whole loop and jump out right here. So that's good. And then we can do an else statement, which you learned about not too long ago, and write system out println. And inside here we can write your login info was incorrect. Please try again. Now, here, you would only get to else if the login information did not compare correctly. So if the username did not match the first username, or if the password did not match the first password. And that's pretty much the simplicity of it. And now, just to make sure the program ran correctly, we can write system out print line, and we can say something like you are now logged in. Congrats. Okay. And here we go. That's pretty much your login system. Let's try running it. If you look here, I've actually already done a version myself to test, and it ran correctly. So let's run this. And username, I'll just enter my username as walk. You can do whatever you want. And my password will be Danimals. Alright, looks good. So please enter your username. I'll enter walk. And then password, Danimals. Alright, you have correctly logged in. What? You have entered the correct login info. Okay, you are now logged in. Congrats. And if I run this without the correct login info, like walk, Danimals, and then enter walk, and then enter not Danimals, your login info was incorrect. Please try again. Login below. And it will allow you to enter your username again. And as I set my password to Danimals, now it logs me in. And yeah, so that's how to make a simple login program based on what we've learned so far. I hope you guys got something out of this, and I will see you next tutorial.